Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2024, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, and Viksit Bharat at 2047 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue today's commemorations. Today we have just a couple of commemorations. Today is commemorated as Goa Liberation Day on December 19th, celebrated every year in India and is regarded as one of the most significant days in the history of Goa. Located at around 250 miles south of Mumbai, Goa is one of the India's smallest states and was previously under Portuguese possession for about 450 years. The Goa Liberation Day is a celebration of the day Indian Armed Forces freed Goa from Portuguese rule on December 19, 1961. The day is also particularly important for recognizing the achievements Goa has made in recent years, accomplishing milestones in the tourism sector and maintaining its position as having the highest per capita income among all the states and union territories of India. Goa Liberation Day is all about celebrating the independence of Goa from the Portuguese. Goa is a state on the southwestern coast of India within the region known as Konkan. It is bordered by the states of Maharashtra to the north and Karnataka to the east and south, as well as the Arabian Sea to the west, and its capital is Panavi, which lies on the north central coast of the mainland district. After being freed from Portuguese possession, it became a part of India in 1962 and was officially recognized as an independent nation in 1987. On August 15, 1947, when India gained its independence, Goa was still crumbling under 450 years of Portuguese rule. The Portuguese were among the first to colonize parts of India in the name of business, and they occupied Goa and parts of India and refused to give up their hold over Goa and other Indian territories, even in the wake of India's independence. See, the historians today, most of us are being glorified, these Portuguese, Britishers, and these Mughals and all these invaders who looted our countries are being glorified in our textbooks and education system and everywhere. But you don't see the kind of atrocities they have committed, and they have looted the entire massive wealth of the nation. Otherwise, India, as it has been, would have been the richest country in the world. And today also still people are, you know, supporting such narratives because they, in spite of being Indians or in spite of born as Indians, also they are acting as anti-nationals, in their own vested interest in supporting the narratives and glorifying those invaders for their vested interest. So we have to be very careful, especially. That's why learning history is very important, not that it's a dry subject or something that you should know what was the blunders that was committed by our you know earlier generations, and to avoid such blunders again keep happening, and being ourselves knowledgeable about those past, it is very important to learn history. History is very important. If you know where you have come from and what are your roots, you know what you have to do now and in future, and how to protect them, how to save them. Then only you will know the importance. As long as you are ignorant and you are not even aware of your own culture and tradition, where you have come, where your roots are, maybe some few couple of decades ago or years ago, you might have been converted, you might have been migrated, or you might have been repositioned, requested, or but still you have roots connected to somewhere, and that is very much essential so that you support the right narratives. And following a myriad of unsuccessful negotiations and diplomatic efforts with these Portuguese, the former Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, decided that military intervention was their only option. The 36-hour military operation conducted from December 18, 1961 was the code named Operation Vijay, meaning Operation Victory, and involved attacks by the Indian Navy, Air Force, and Army. These people will never listen, because they have been committing so many atrocities on Indians. They will not give up so easily. They have made slaves everywhere in the world, and they have enjoyed that kind of psychoism, narcissism, sadism, kind of making people slaves, torturing them, the kind of putting them everywhere and taking everything, including their pride, their virginity and whatnot. In all sense, they have committed the most atrocities you have never even can imagine. The present generation can't even imagine what kind of atrocities that can be committed. All such kind of atrocities have been committed by these French, Portuguese, Britishers, all sorts of these invaders, these Mughals, and all those. That's why it is very important. It's not that we are blaming someone, but unless and until you know the kind of atrocities they committed and the truth, still you will be believing the false narratives, and you will still support the ones who are going to destroy you, who are destroying, presently creating a lot of havoc in lot of nations in the name of so-called peaceful religions and religious practices. You see, they are destroying cultures, they are destroying religious places, and they are destroying, cultural diversity, linguistic diversity, and religious diversity by converting people by, in the name of a lot of forcefully or in the name of ignorance, trying to keep people in their false beliefs. So that's why it's very much important to have knowledge of history. So during these historic moments, Indian troops reclaimed the Goa territory with little resistance, and General Manuel Antonio Vaslo e Silva signed the certificate of surrender. 451 years of Portuguese rule. Imagine being slaves. You can't even tolerate being in a closed, confinement one day. Imagine you are put in a jail for one day. How you will feel? And imagine you were slaves for 451 years. Imagine what kind of pain, agony, suffering they could have gone through. Unless and until you know all these, you'll never be able to appreciate the freedom. Today, people talk about freedom. That is not freedom. Freedom today, whatever the present generations are highly misusing, abusing the freedom. This is not freedom, means not creating hate speech with others, on others, and creating all sorts of disturbances. Freedom doesn't come. There are famous quotes being circulated. You will not appreciate freedom if you haven't experienced being in the jail or being in hospital or being in some this kind of what we call a kind of mental hospital or asylums. Then only you will understand what is the value of freedom. You are free and you are taking for granted, so you don't value the freedom and you are working against your own freedom. And you are not even realizing that. Once the freedom is lost, it's not so easy to get freedom. 451 years of struggle. Imagine it has taken to get the freedom back. And you are just giving your freedom to someone, to the false narratives, to the anti-nationalists, to the terrorists and the terrorist religions and terrorist groups. You're just giving your freedom away by believing their false narratives. Imagine another 1,000 years you are putting yourselves into your slavery, which you'll never enjoy your freedom again. Not only you enjoy your freedom, but also all your generations, forthcoming generations will also enjoy nothing but slavery. Is that what? Slavery can never be enjoyed, right? So we should know how to appreciate our freedom. We don't know the value of freedom, unfortunately. That's why we subscribe to false narratives and blindly, even the educated are the most vulnerable ones. See, anyway, illiterates, they do not have much information related to past. They are far better than literates because they have experience, because they have seen, they have heard, that was carried through cultures and tradition. But mostly the literates, mostly the educated fall prey to such false narratives because it lacks value education. So for them, education means earning more income, more wealth, more status, more position at any cost. Even destroying themselves also, they are ready to go ahead. That kind of education will always destroy you, your family, your nation, and everything, even planet. So that kind of education is not worth education. So that's why a new term is in trending, that is, educated illiterates. So there are more educated illiterates than illiterates. Now we have to educate those educated illiterates, because this is kind of half knowledge is always dangerous. So we can't say just by attending or by getting some degree you cannot call yourself a literate unless and until that information gets converted into knowledge and that knowledge transforms into wisdom. That wisdom is what makes you different from literate to illiterate, or from illiterate to literate. If you lack that wisdom, if you lack that knowledge, if you lack that information in this hierarchy, if you are lacking any of these, then you are illiterate. By just mugging up and vomiting in the exams, or by doing malpractice, or by putting some pressure or corruption in the system, you get some kind of degrees and you pay for that, and all this kind of nonsense, whatever is happening. We see paper leaks and all kind of thing. This is destroying your own system, your own, education system, your own evaluation system. And what is the end product? You are destroying your own country. You don't have proper quality education. And the most dangerous thing is you take everything for granted. Now you think that you can violate all the rules and regulations, all the laws and acts, and you are above the law because you can do anything. And that's the most dangerous, insane personality or attitude that one can have, who does not only destroy themselves, but even destroy others and even nations for that matter, or for the entire planet. So that is what you have to be educated with common sense, not education without common sense or without, without value education. That is not at all an education, because that's the major difference they made, these Westerners, invaders. They removed value education, they removed common sense, they removed ethics and morals from the education, so that even if you are educated, you still remain uneducated. You still remain educated illiterate, which is not at all useful for you. So it is easy, it is as good as being illiterate. So it is like a half knowledge, and it makes you more suggestible. It makes you more vulnerable than illiterates, because they apply common sense. You do not apply common sense because your common sense is lost in the education process. You don't apply values, you don't apply ethics, you don't apply morals. These have been destroyed in the process of this modern education. So you become more vulnerable, you become more suggestible, and you blindly believe that, and you destroy yourself and your nation at large. So many such things are happening even today. It's not about past. Even today, many of them are in the same stage. Why this urban Naxalism? Why this religious terrorism? Why this jihad, love jihad? Or why these conversions are taking place? Why this hate speech is going on? Why killing of animals? And why all these things are, to kill the culture and traditions? Why this alcoholism? It doesn't give any benefit to anyone. Why this tobacco consumption? Why this drugs consumption? So that what it does actually, scientifically, it kills your common sense. It kills your decision making. It kills your ethics. It kills your morals. It suppresses. So that you don't understand what is right and what is wrong. You become easily suggestible. You become more vulnerable. So that's why, it is widely, even in certain cultures, it is a norm. Without drinking, without smoking, without having sex, without having, consuming meat. You cannot do anything in that religion. Why? Because you are made so much vulnerable that you are in the false narratives that you cannot save yourself. And you are kept in that narrative forcibly, with fear, with confinement, and all such things. And you are made to believe that without that, you don't even exist as a human being. You are not even recognized as a human being. So all these narratives, all these perspectives need to be thrown away from our society. These are the social evils today. We know alcohol has no benefit. We know drugs have no benefit unless and until it is used as a medicine. We know tobacco has no benefit. But we know excessive meat consumption, that is promoting cruelty, has no benefit, because we have alternative ways of getting sources. Still, why society is promoting? Because they want to keep these educated illiterates. They want to make these so-called educated illiterates. I again keep repeating many times, educated illiterates. You may be having postdoctoral, you may be having PhD, you may be having PG, you may be having UG, doesn't matter. You still remain educated illiterate, and you are more vulnerable than illiterates because you always keep following, subscribing false perspectives and false information, false notions. That's why you are more dangerous, you are more vulnerable, you are more susceptible. That's why educate yourself. Have value education, have moral education, have ethical education, and inculcate common sense, which is lost in the process of present modern education. Unless and until you keep subscribing to this, unless you are knowledge, unless that information or the knowledge haven't transformed into wisdom, you will still remain illiterate in spite of how many degrees you have, how many, qualifications or certificates you have, you are still an uneducated, or better called as educated illiterate. We can give so many examples from our history where people have committed blunders. So now also, after so much of education, you are still addicted to drugs, you are still addicted to alcohol, you are still addicted to tobacco. You say that is a norm, then you are the greatest fool on the planet. You are doing the greatest blunder on the planet. Then what is the use of all this knowledge you have acquired when it is not being put into practice? Do you call yourself as a responsible human being? Do you call yourself as a responsible citizen? So we should think ourselves whether we are educated, we are clever, we are wise. That should reflect. The certificates or the degrees should not talk. The behavior, the actions should speak about yourself, your knowledge, your wisdom. So anyway, get back to this commemoration. So many such things happened in history. That's why I always keep telling man, go connect to your roots, wherever you have come from. Then you will know how much struggle your ancestors and all those have put in. And today you have to appreciate the land of Vedas. This India is greatest land. You are very fortunate to be born here, brought up here. And anything you are going against the dharma of the land, you are not just destroying the dharma, but you are destroying yourselves. And you have to pay for it. And there is no one going to save. There is no one to take your sins. The sinner of the sinners is also greatest sinner, who is also floated like a god in the society. Now, you subscribe to such a sinner, you become the greatest blunder, and you commit the greatest sin on the planet. So, subscribe to proper narratives, subscribe to proper perspectives. Then you will understand by yourself what is right, what is wrong. You decide yourself and verify that whether it is really right or wrong. Don't go with the crowd. Don't be like a sheep crowd, One sheep goes on and the rest entire crowd follows. Don't be like that. Be unique by yourself. It doesn't mean that everyone is like that. But often people have their own vested interests. Their priorities differ. So they have, and not everyone is mature enough. Another important aspect is the maturity. Everyone needs differ, everyone priorities differ, and everyone's maturity level differ. And maturity doesn't always, I can say, maturity is indirectly proportional to the qualifications. Even, and it is also indirectly proportional to the age also. Some people, even at 80, 90 years also, they are not mature. Some children, even at 10 years also, they are more matured than 80 years old. So maturity doesn't always comes from degrees, qualifications, certifications, or even at times age. It all depends upon the environment, the kind of experiences you have gone through. Some people get vast kind of exposures. They have literally seen everything, the hardships, the true personalities, the diversity of personality, diversity of people, diversity of circumstances in a very short span of life. They know, they have a greater knowledge, they have a greater experience. Only those can acquire such a great maturity. By just studying some bookish knowledge, you can't claim yourself as a mature person just by reading some trash. Nowadays, what these books are consisting of? All the trash these books are consisting of, nothing but the trash. All these false narratives, right? So all these false narratives are widely being sponsored, published, printed, and if you read them, you will be more misinformed, disinformed, with more such false narratives, false perspectives. So you'll become more vulnerable. So you have to read authentic sources. You should read original sources, then only you will be able to gain that maturity. So all these are all different aspects. And no one teaches, no college, no school teaches. It's only the life that teaches, or the one who is enlightened can only teach you this. And unfortunately, the enlightened ones are not the professors, not the teachers, not the trainers. Unfortunately, because that is not the kind of education system. This is not the old traditional Gurukul system, right? So you cannot find such people in the education system. You have to go out of the education system to get such kind of knowledge that is out of our modern present education system. You can never gain such kind of information. Nowadays, slowly attempts are being put to restore, but even as I have said, there are many people who are against it. They still want to be educated illiterates because they cannot play with you as easily. If you become all our wisdom, full of wisdom, what they will not be able to manipulate you. So they want to keep you ignorant. That's why, so that they can easily manipulate and get their work done by you, through you, and they can enjoy the power, authority they have, or they can easily destroy people or nations. Anyway, let's get back to our commemoration. These all are very important aspects. So we were talking about these people were resistance, having resistance and to move out in spite of getting independence, these fellows. So during this historic moment, India has to, use its military power because they were not listening. and reclaimed the Goa territory with little resistance because, ours was a very huge army. And not only that, becoming an independent nation, you, it was a different altogether the circumstance. You cannot just go, it's not no more a colony or no more, because if you go against everything, first person to be targeted will be you, and entire nations will also be against you. So finally, they had to leave, and with little resistance, a General Manuel Antonio Vasco e Silva signed the certificate of surrender 451 years after Portuguese rule in the region officially came to an end, and the territory was taken back by India on December 1960. Even today, though they left, their remnants can be seen in Goa till today. However, the action incited mixed responses internationally at that time. Though many praised the move and backed India, others, including Portugal, because they were the ones who invaded, right? Criticized the Indian forces' invasion of Goa. See, these are the narratives I'm talking about. They are the ones who invaded parts of India, who illegally occupied India, and they are now saying that India has invaded its own country. These kind of false narratives, if you believe, then can you call yourself wise? That's why we need to understand what is our history, what is our nation. Today, many of our Indian parts are now have become other independent countries because of lot of these false narratives and people with vested interests. They want power authority, so they kept on dividing so that they can rule over that place. Just because of that greed for the power and authority, people have divided places like. So we should know when we will understand whether it is a true or not, whether it is false narrative or not. When you know that it was part of India, it is part of India and it will be part of India, then you know that Portuguese people are spreading the false narratives. Similarly, in many cases, unless and until you know the truth, you will still continue to believe that false is only truth. Now, who has to educate you? Who will take that responsibility? You yourself have to take that responsibility. Whatever you have learnt is always truth, not anything else but truth. But if you learnt all the false things, then you are full of loaded with false narratives. Then whatever you learnt is nothing. That has no value. That is all blunder you have learnt your entire life. And you subscribe to that. You believe that is true, but that is not true. Now you remain fool for your entire life, thinking that whatever you know is truth. But in fact, it is entirely false. Now you are making fool of yourself your entire life. Now whose responsibility is that to educate you? It's yourself. And it's your duty to approach right sizes, right sources, right personalities to learn about the truth. So that's how Goa Liberation Day is marked by the abundance of events and festivities in Goa. A torchlight procession is ignited from 3 different locations in the state, eventually all meeting at the Azad Maidan. This is where a tribute is made to those who lost their lives in the takeover of Goa. various cultural programs like Sugam Sangeet, an Indian musical genre with poetry in the Kannada language, are also held to honor the occasion. Despite present day Goa being India's smallest state by area, Goa's history is long and diverse. Usglamilal rock engravings exhibit some of the earliest traces of human settlement in India, and the Mauryan and Shatavahana Empire ruled modern day Goa during the Iron Age. You can see, though after invasion, and even the culture has also been destroyed, religion is also has been destroyed, and most of the Goa parts you can see have been Christianized with lot of churches built and people got converted and lot of religious institutions. You can see the parts of Tamil Nadu and the parts of the coastal areas where the Christianity started in India in the name of trade and business. They have entered in India and slowly they started building their religious places and bringing these, so-called religious priests and started converting people in the name of food, in the name of shelter. And that's how the Christianity and that's how the Mughals, with invasion of Mughals, the Islam also started, which was never there in India. Now the people think that unless and until you don't know this truth, people start thinking they created false narratives that they were there and this country itself belongs to Christian or Muslim. Then you will be in that entire your life, you will be in that false narrative. But unless and until you know that these were invaders who brought these religions to make themselves superior, you will not understand. But it doesn't matter which religion you are subscribing to, but that is the fact to be observed, that is the fact to be learned. And you have to be conscious that, we need to respect everyone as a human being, human rights. You cannot have that kind of superiority complex, and you cannot look down to any other people. That is what these blunders, religions, so called peaceful religions, are creating discrimination, hatred, blunders in this modern world. They are violating the human rights. They are degrading the human values, thinking that they are only superior and others are inferior. And is this the real humanity? They are going against humanity and they call themselves the most human religion in the world, the most peaceful religion in the world. They talk about sisterhood, brotherhood, but what they preach is different. What they do is entirely different, quite opposite of what they preach. Unless and until you know the truth, there is nothing wrong because it's not started today. So you are not responsible for all these, but you are responsible if you are carrying forward these false narratives to others and your future younger generations. You should not carry these false narratives because then you will become part of that. If you are not carrying it forward and if you are always passing on wisdom, passing on human rights, human values, irrespective of what the blunders earlier people have done, then you call yourself as wise and mature. So we have seen that, Goa was the long part of India and has a rich culture, Hindu culture and all. Sanatan Dharma was all really. So when these people came and invaded, that's why it is very important to learn the history. The Portuguese invaded Goa when the governance of Portuguese India Alfonso de Albuquerque captures the city, even though Goa is not among the cities. Albuquerque was ordered to take over in 1510. We have records also when it was captured. And now, even at that time, they claim, that India invaded Goa. See, these kind of false narratives, if you still, after having acquired postdoctoral, after having doctorals, after having masters, after having undergraduate, if you still say that India captured Goa and you believe in that and you spread that, now can you call yourself a wise man or can you call yourself a fool? Now you decide yourself whether you are sharing right information or whether you are sharing wrong information. So here we need not blame any religion, any community, but what? As a human being, what we need to do is stop all these things. At least as an individual, let's promote human rights, human values, ethics, morals, and do not discriminate anyone in the grounds of religion, in the grounds of caste, racism, color, gender, because we are educated, right? We are mature. If our education did not provide this kind of education, then we'll still remain fools, we'll still remain educated illiterates. Now you decide whether you are a fool or educated, whether you are mature, whether you are immature. Now, if you say yourself as mature, then your behavior, actions should also reflect that maturity in you. Today is also commemorated as Look for an Evergreen Day in US. Now, this is another atrocity that is committed to the environment and nature in the name of festival. Now we see across the world, the abuse of nature and environment happens in the name of festival. The upcoming festival, Christmas. And what happens on Christmas? Christmas trees. That means, first of all, grow Christmas trees. Christmas trees, growing itself, how much time it will take for a Christmas tree to be harvested and used as Christmas tree? How much land is required? Every home, every establishment which is celebrating Christmas needs a Christmas tree. You can imagine how many trees, how much of land is used for cultivation, which is going for a destruction by deforestation. And so many trees, so many resources are wasted just for one day in a year. Imagine, so many trees are killed, and you call itself an You bring that killed tree without any life and you put it in front of your house, in your house, and you say that I am celebrating Christmas. Now, how you can justify this? And if you, for this also, you need to go back to Christmas celebrations. Originally, Christmas tree is not part of Christmas celebrations. How many of you know that? Christmas tree was not part of original Christmas celebration. Unless and until you know history, you'll not able to understand these concepts. I'm not saying whether to put Christmas tree or not, but whether it's useful for environment or not, whether it's useful for nature or not, that is what you need to think. So much of deforestation of land, so much of resources, and these are highly pest inviting trees. You need to do lot of pest management for these Christmas trees. And they are highly allergic also. There are various scientific studies that has been done. You need to, you can ask any Christmas tree farmer how much pesticides he used to cultivate those trees. And nothing grows where the Christmas tree grows. So you have to just leave that for years together so that you can harvest that tree for using Christmas. And what you do the next day of Christmas or after a few days, again you throw it away in the waste. Now see, in the name of festival, you are destroying nature, you are destroying plants, you are destroying environment, and you tell that you are celebrating festival. Now what you are celebrating, you are causing harm to nature, you are causing harm to environment. We are not saying not to celebrate any festival or not saying to celebrate some festival. What we are telling is do right what is good for you, what is good for society, what is good for nature, what is good for environment. Okay, somehow this Christmas tree concept has come, entered as a social evil. Like in many religions and customs, somewhere someone has wantedly put it to make a profit out of selling Christmas trees. Someone introduced, because most of these Western concepts are to make business money, right? To make huge profits. So someone has introduced, and today people are blindly following it. And they have ascribed some religious significance also. So what you can do? So now people have become little bit conscious. I will not say conscious, better clever. So they have understood it's not so easy, and maintenance, because of maintenance aspects, it's not easy to bring. So people have started using plastic Christmas trees. Now, this is a new kind of problem that has created now. So that problem is already there. And again, new problem is plastic pollution. Huge plastic trees are made and they are put for the Christmas festival and they are discarded. Now, again, you are creating a lot of plastic waste. Lot of decorations on the tree. Lot of, again, plastic, more kind of materials in the form of are generated. Now, see what you are doing on these festivals, basically. Why can't you go with an environment friendly practices? If you want to have tree something. Why only that Christmas tree, which has no benefits at all? Christmas tree is not useful for anyone. Do you consume? Do animals consume? No one consumes Christmas. Instead of that, have some purposeful tree Like, Tulsi is there. You keep Tulsi and or some other tree. You not just Tulsi, you want whichever tree which is useful. You cultivate that tree, you grow the tree. The tree will give you oxygen, the tree will give you flowers, that tree will give you shade, the tree will give you fruits or vegetables. Do something which is more productive. I'm not criticizing any religion or any religious practices. I'm a true environmentalist. I'm a true humanist. So what I'm telling is there are in every religion, I say there are certain practices. Instead of getting Christmas tree this year, because still we have a lot of time, I request all my Christian brothers and sisters, don't buy a Christmas tree, whether it may be a real natural tree or an artificial. Instead, buy something that is useful for you. Any tree, any plant, any sapling, you buy, keep it in your home, pray for it, and plant it in your garden or raise it for till next year. Every day you can enjoy that plant. You can enjoy the warmthness, kindness. You can take care of it. That will give you a lot of psychological well-being to you, happiness, joy, and you pass on to future generations. And that will give you wonderful benefits as long as you are alive and even after that. Do such things which is protect. Don't just blindly believe something. Someone has introduced something and don't just believe blind. That is the greatness of Hinduism, Sanatan Dharma. Where other religions, they don't give any. You question and head will be chopped off. You have no right to question. Many people were killed like that. Many churches have killed, and many are not just Christianity. Many religions have killed who have talked against them because they don't want anyone to question them. There is no freedom at all. When we are talking about slavery, they are born slaves and will die slaves. Slavery is part and parcel of their religion. You cannot question anything. So you should come out from such slavery to religion also. Question everything and try to find science behind that. And verify if it is still relevant to this present context or not. Then only follow it. Any religion, even if it is in Hinduism also, Hinduism proactively encourages questioning. It says without questioning, without getting answers, if you have the ability, question and follow. Get the answers and follow. If you are still not matured, if you are not still capable enough, then wait. You follow it and you will understand it a little later. So that is a kind. If you are not at all given a freedom to question, then that means you are always there as a fool forever. You are always there as a slave forever. So there are other alternatives, like instead of going for an artificial tree, let's be honest. There is nothing like that sight or scent of a freshly tree. Natural tree, artificial tree, both are different. So what is the spirit? There is no spirit at all. So generally, these Christmas trees are basically that original tree is also different, but they are not available everywhere. So they use spruces, pines, firs, and lot of varieties also evolved over time due to their more personalized preferences. It's not that you have to put that tree because it was not available, it was costly, and you have to put some tree. So you were putting all the useless trees there. Instead of that, use some good tree because it was a personal choice. Why not put mango tree? Why not put guava tree? Why not put some useful tree? So this Christmas, I request everyone, if you are celebrating, instead of that waste, useless trees, use better, more productive trees. And don't wait till last moment to buy a tree. If you haven't already, go to nursery, choose anything which you like, which you love to keep. Still, you have a lot more days to celebrate. So start shopping now. Or if you have friends who have a lot of saplings, trees, you can also ask them, what's a beautiful, you can ask if you can just gift me something on Christmas instead of gifting me some gifts. You can gift me a sapling. I will take care of that for the rest of my year or till next Christmas or till my entire life. How beautiful is that? See, the art of gifting is also very important. Even we have the day also coming up. Every year we are commemorating before Christmas, after Christmas. Lot of commemorations are there where we talk about lot of waste generated as part of the festival. So evergreens have been essential in societies throughout the ages. Their apparent eternal nature, even in harsh seasons, have made them the choice for religious practices and observances. So why this Christmas tree came? Because it is very harsh. Nothing can destroy them, and it will not allow anything to grow. So that's why it's very hard. Na? So everyone use that tree, but it is also harmful to plants, animals, and humans also. But unfortunately, they have chosen such that again people will think this tree is not good, bad omen. That's why they have chosen such a species. But later on, people have realized, and due to various prevailing circumstances, people started using different other trees. So for the first time, evergreen tree was decorated was in 1510 in Riga, Latvia. From 18th century onwards, jingle bells, tinsels, ornaments, fairy lights, garlands were being used. Before that, there was no Christmas tree concept anywhere in the world. So that's how I'm telling history is very important for everyone. History doesn't mean as a subject, history of everything. Whatever you do, you should know when it was started. You know why we are doing commemorations? Because at least through these commemorations, we know what are the events that we are commemorating or celebrating, how it started, where it started, who it started, and what is the use, whether it is really contributing to the sustainable development or not, how it is contributing, how it is not contributing. So that came all these celebrations. So go eco-friendly. Mango trees are also evergreen, thrive in sunshine, drought conditions. So good to have such, as nature is full of wonderful living things and often go unnoticed by the average person. Look at different types of greens which are evergreen, look for them and use them as Christmas tree. So today is also commemorated as National Hard Candy Day. So put the peanut butter balls and the sugar cookies down. The hard stuff we celebrate is National Candy Day, while we are little sticky about the origins of this day. It can be safely said the hardy candy can be a long preferred sweet snack by many societies. In the medieval period, sugar, the only true ingredient, was candy, was prohibitively expensive. Thus, the Jolly Ranchers and blow pops of the Dark Ages were reserved for the royal and wealthy. Quite a difference from the penny candy you can pick up for a cent or dollar today. Over the years, confectioners have refined the process to an exact science. And we need sugar to create sweet, sticky, crunching, and cracking hard candy. So get your Tootsie Pops, and your toothbrushes ready. Today is also commemorated as National Heroes and Heroines Day in UK, which is celebrated on December 19th each year in an island nation of Anguilla. This day is an opportunity to remember and appreciate all the efforts of people who made significant contributions to the nation. Their contributions have had a substantial impact on Anguilla's history. They have also made significant sacrifices for the country's and its citizens' prosperity. National Heroes and Heroines Day also honors the 1967 Anguilla Revolution. There are memorial services that are held for those involved and parades and music performances. Follow the memorial services. The whole day is a time for joy rather than solemn remembrance. Today is also commemorated as National Oatmeal Muffin Day in US, which is celebrated on December 19th, and we are eager to fill up our tummies with delicious muffins without having to worry about cholesterol or calories coming. Healthy muffins that look like cupcakes and satisfy sweet cravings. The best part is that oatmeal is known to be heart healthy and has a lot of nutritious value. Today, the oatmeal muffin is loved by many, and as it is packed with rich flavor and has a lot of health benefits, they become even more delightful when complemented with fruits like blueberries, raisins, and bananas. Sometimes nuts are incorporated into the recipe as well as for that extra crunch. So, with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you, everyone, for being part of this. See you all tomorrow at the same time with the same joining link, different commemorations. So we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form before you leave the session. So take care. Good night. The feedback form has been shared in the form of polls. You can fill up the feedback form before leaving the platform. Take care. Good night.